Martin, fantastic experience coming up all the way into the hills to Missouri to drive the W206, the new C-Class. What is your expectation from the C-Class? It is one of your strongest selling models in the country today.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, we have a very strong portfolio in SUVs, but almost equally strong with close to 50% our sedan in our portfolio. In that, the E-Class is the dominant factor, but C-Class comes very shortly after that. It's a very strong car we had, now the replacement, and I'm very confident that we will be able to fill the gap that was created with the runout late last year with the previous model.
Quarter one was extremely good for you guys for Mercedes-Benz, 4,000 odd cars that were put out in the market. And a very interesting presentation yesterday where you clearly said we have sold out and you've got a long waiting list. How is that working out for Mercedes-Benz currently?
Well, of course, it is a concern, and we're trying to mitigate as much as possible, but we have also to acknowledge the fact that there is so much disturbance on the one hand in the supply chain, in the chip shortage, which we still are bothered with. On the other hand, the very good part of it is that the demand is extremely strong. We sold 4,000 cars in the first quarter, and we're having at the moment 5,000 open orders, which we're trying to expedite as much as possible. But you can imagine, depending on the model, it is really a couple of months. We have customers waiting for their cars, and I obviously cannot say that's a good situation. We're trying to do whatever is possible, but I don't see that it will go away easily in the next couple of months.
The C-Class now, we're coming into that segment, or rather filling that gap that was left out by the previous generation one. You're expecting good numbers for that as well because it is a fairly strong sedan in your portfolio. How are you going to mitigate, the circumstances that are there right now and getting deliveries to customers on time? Is there any way to mitigate that at this point in time?
I mean, we have a very close planning and operational steering between our market side, our production and our logistics teams here and in the headquarter functions. I think what we were able over the last 2 years with all these disturbances to really optimize the entire planning and production scheme. In that sense, we don't build any car which is not directly going to a customer. So we have adjusted now the entire process in a very, I think, robust way that we're really looking on a win base, which car is to come, where do we have a customer, how urgent is it, and we try to match that against the inventory, against the production material and planning which we're having on the other side. So we have very close circles to make sure that we limit the fallout, so to say. Still, it is difficult, and we have you think a car is being built today and it should be shipped to a customer basically next week. Then some material doesn't arrive, some ship is delayed, some container is not in the load itself, and then you have to replan, and that is what happens very dynamically now. But of course, we're not able to completely offset the constraints.
What's the profile of the consumer also for the C-Class? Because from what you mentioned,
Yes,
is that the profiles are dynamic right now. They're changing considerably. There's a larger, the bigger audience coming in towards the more expensive super luxury segments. So what's the kind of profile that you're seeing for the C-Class?
I mean, interesting for us is always the question is there potential of growth in India in the market? Because over the last years, the luxury segment has hardly ever pushed really above, say, 1.2% of market share in the passenger car market. So the question is there really a scope to grow outside the traditional customer base? And we clearly see, for example, with the C-Class that there is scope. We see, for example, whilst 4 or 5 years ago, the average age of a C-Class customer was around 40 years. We're now looking at 35 years. We have a lot more younger people. We have a lot of, people who aspire to also differentiate, to buy a luxury car. And with that, we see around 48% of our C-Class customers are actually first-time luxury car buyers. And it gives us a lot of good views on how the C-Class will perform, and also we believe that this is trends that can continue and will strengthen also this segment. Having said that, we try in all our segments to make sure that we offer cars who truly live up to the luxury aspiration. So we don't offer any barebone car. They all fully equipped And we see that customers appreciate that. We see also, as you mentioned, a strong trend in the higher price segments in our top-end vehicles. Currently, in the segment above 1 crore is close to 30% of our sales numbers, and that used to be 4 or 5 years ago around 12-15%. So we see clearly a shift in customer demand to be younger and also to get more the luxury quotient out of that, and we're trying to do that in all areas of our segment, and specifically there are also space in the top end segment with all our beautiful cars, the GLSs, GLEs and so forth. Yeah.
Martin, how's the market responding to, you've got the NCR region, which diesels aren't selling very strongly, but you also within your portfolio, one of your flagship C classes is the 300D. How is this mix kind of working out for Mercedes-Benz?
I think we have always built on some level of flexibility. We offer in the range both engine types, and we can clearly see that there is a trend towards petrol, specifically in the lower end of our segments. Yeah, but the higher you get, I can almost generically say that you see a lot of push for diesel still. There's a strong diesel market in the SUVs, of course, but also in large sedans. In that sense, we offer both, and we adjust to what the customers want, what the regulation in the areas is. And we know our diesels are extremely strong cars. If you take the 220 diesel, for example, that we're offering now, it runs 23 kilometers on 1 liter. That is best in class and best in our range number. So that has very positive impacts on fuel consumption. It's almost 30%. No, that's 22% better than we had in the previous model. So I mean, the diesels are very good engines, and also considering fuel prices and so forth, I'm sure we'll still find quite a strong customer base there. But as I said, we have both options, and we're flexible to adjust based on what customers feel is fitting best their own wishes.
Thank you so much for that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.